Welcome to the Honest Health Podcast with your host, Jeffrey Burke. Honest Health brings you the brightest minds in the natural products industry, as well as athletes and entertainers. Jeff will keep you entertained and informed while educating on how to be successful on your healthy journeys. Now, here's your host, Jeffrey Burke.
Hello and welcome back to the Honest Health Podcast. My name is Jeffrey Burke. I'm so glad you're here. Remember, if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show. If you've been with me for a long time, decades, welcome back. Today, we're going to have a really great show. You know, I've been kind of preparing you that I'm going to take this a different angle than you're probably used to. I'm going to have amazing people from the natural products industry and from health and well-being and all that wonderful stuff. But I also want to have some great personalities on here, people that have done amazing things, and we want to know everything they've done. So you're going to love this one today. You'll know it as soon as you hear the bio. My guest today, Mark O'Toole, is with us, and Mark has headlined at almost every casino and nightclub in Las Vegas. He's the recipient of numerous highly coveted entertainment and humanitarian awards. Any first-time listener is likely to be struck by the quality of Mark's powerful voice. Part velvet, like the part gravel, and all taught emotion. It's a voice that seems ideally suited to perform the songs of the Great American Songbook. But what audiences need to understand is the seasoning behind that remarkable voice. Decades of hard-won experience has carried this performer through several careers across thousands of miles. Though he enjoyed his popularity, he missed his first love, singing. He hit every open mic night he could find in the Los Angeles area. One day, while driving down Highway 101, a little voice in Mark's head said, "Go to Las Vegas." And he did. What's important is after moving to Las Vegas, Mark appeared on Star Search, where his rendition of Conway Twitty's "It Only Make Believe" beat out a 5-time winner. Judge David Foster gave him 4 stars. The victory and the recognition which followed from the Las Vegas establishment, including 3 consecutive Best Male Vocalist honors, proved sweet indeed. Mark and his band became one of the most highly sought-after country bands in Las Vegas, playing at all the major strip properties. Mark was named Las Vegas 2013 Entertainer of the Year by the Entertainment Consumers Exchange. Prior winners included Bobby Darin, Louis Prima, and the Letterman. Mark was also named Las Vegas Lounge Performer of the Year back in 2011, again in 2013, and was inducted into the Fans Hall of Fame in 2014. Help me welcome my wonderful guest. Hey, Mark.
Oh, hi, Jeffrey. Hi. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's so great to have you here, and I'm so glad that we're going to have the chance to be able to chat a little bit and, kind of let people know, all about you. And, it's amazing because people, I don't think, have any idea what goes into not just being an entertainer, but being an entertainer in Las Vegas. It's crazy.
Yeah, when I first came to Vegas back in 1989, 1990, I was syndicated in radio with a gentleman named Jay Thomas. Jay, some of the people out there might know that Jay was Eddie LeBec on Cheers. And he was on Murphy Brown and a lot of big shows. And he heard me performing, doing character voices in Boston. And he asked me to help him produce his show in Los Angeles. And so I was on Power 106, producing his show for 2 years. And then I got a call when I came to Vegas to appear on Star Search, and it kind of changed my life from there. And so for the past 35 years, I have been performing here. And now, after traveling the world with my Barry Manilow tribute show and performing, I can proudly say I have the #1 selling show for the last 3 years in Las Vegas. So it's called the Mark O'Toole Variety Show, and I'm really proud of it.
Well, you should be. It takes a lot to stay with any career. As long as people do these days. Somebody says, I've been doing what I've been doing for 20 years, 30 years. I'm 45 years in my career, and I love it. But I got to tell you, when you're entertaining and you're in the public eye and you're dealing with staying healthy and keeping your body healthy and eating right and just, being able to do what you're doing, but there's a lot involved behind the scenes. And I don't think people know what it takes.
People expect you to look a certain way. Yep. I'll be 64 next week, and if the audience can see me, the reason why I'm wearing these glasses is I'm not trying to be Hollywood. I have optic neuritis in my eye, and so I can't have any light in my eye. So I apologize to anybody that's wondering why my glasses are like the way they are. Yeah, I mean, I've actually been stopped by people after my show the following day, and they say to me, what's going on with it? Because I'll be dressed in my jeans or shorts or whatever. And they said, what happened to you? And I'm like, what do you mean what happened? And they're like, well, look at the way you're dressed. I'm like, well, I'm not on stage. But again, people perceive you to look like $1,000,000 24/7. And they don't realize that I just want to come home, put my baseball cap on and my t-shirt and just hang out and just be a normal person. You know what I mean? I think people forget that. So, you know?
Well, we kind of get lost in the realism, the real life part of us, and people don't see that. They see the stage, they see the movies, they see the sports, the field, the slopes, the ice. They see you in your zone, but there's another zone behind that that's your own zone.
But they only knew how much smoke and mirrors and makeup, is going on here. Just a lot. And I probably need more, but, and now how long have we known each other?
It's been a long time. A very long time.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like to use years because it dates me.
Didn't I meet you at the gay rodeo or something? Didn't I perform at the gay rodeo?
I think I was there, and I was volunteering my time, and I was announcing and helping them out. And that was, I think that's where we met the very first time. I think so too. I was doing a volunteer thing there and helping them announce that they needed somebody that could talk. So who but me?
Right.
So yeah. So this has been a long time. And I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's always you and I have always got along, and it's good to see you after all these years. So
talk to me a little bit about your journey. And if it's okay, we could share a little bit about, I mean, you hit a rough patch at one point.
I was, when I moved from Boston, I'm originally from Boston, and I moved to LA, and then I moved here, and then I had a couple of setbacks that literally almost killed me. I mean, it should have. I don't even know why I'm here. I guess it wasn't my time. But in 2007, I got off stage. I was performing on the Strip, and I took a shower, and I put my hand up, and I felt like a bump here. And then in 2 weeks, I was inundated with literally hundreds of tumors coming through my body. You could see them. You could actually feel them and see them. And so I went to the doctors with Sally Struthers she's like my best friend. So she flew up and she moved in with me at that point with another friend of mine and pretty much took care of me. They gave me 3 weeks to live. They said there was no help. I had 2% of my body to fight off a stage 4 cancer. And it was like a leukemic cancer was traveling so quickly that they just put me in the hospital and they just expected me to pass. And I think my will, I think prayers from all around the country, I think staying positive and listening to the doctor, doing what I was told. But I think it was more in my head that I wasn't going to let it affect me. I remember going through my chemotherapy with other people and seeing other people around me, and they were so down and they were negative, and I knew that those people weren't going to survive, and they didn't. They'd be gone the next week. So a lot of it has to do with up here. I really believe that. And taking care of yourself at that point, from that point on, I never smoked. I wasn't really a drinker. Like, I'd have a glass of wine here and there, but I think maybe second and third hand smoke of me performing in on clubs and wherever all over the world, probably they say is just as bad as smoking, so who knows?
Well, we're glad you're here, and I'm so glad that you had the will to fight. And, I do think that the mind is a lot more powerful than we give it credit for. And if you study cultures around the world, they say that the mind could really control a lot of the things that we come in contact with. And I don't think we use it like we could.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I don't think we're capable of the knowledge that we have within ourselves to succeed and it's just amazing to meet other survivors. And I share this story with all of your listeners who are survivors as well. Kudos to all of you. And I think there's two types of people in the world, Jeffrey. I think there's the people who, after they get sick, they go, why me? And then you have the other people who go, thank you. I have another day to look at the sun and feel the wind and see the beautiful trees. And I think that's what I did. I really embraced that. And so I was working up until the pandemic, and I was traveling the world doing the Barry Manilow tribute show. And then out of the pandemic, I decided we were all like, what do we do? All the performers, what do we do? So I put together a 17-piece orchestra. I worked with Lady Gaga's orchestra, and then decided to put this variety show together. We've had over 400 guests, and it's from all of the headliners from all around the world. And I have two different theaters here. I have the Starbright Theater, and I have the theater up in Anthem, Sun City Anthem. And if anybody wants information or just check out my website and see what I do, they can go to www.markotoolvegas.com, markotoolvegas.com,
That's
and just
easy.
see what I do. It's easy, real easy. It's like me. Not really, but yeah. So I've had an incredible ride. I've been doing this for almost 50 years. I can't believe it. And there are so many people right now, Jeffrey, that are leaving Las Vegas to find work. People are asking me all the time, hey, should I come to Vegas? And I'm like, don't come here. There's no work. There literally is no work unless you're in a big show. But people are working for like $100 a night, which I was working for 40, 50 years ago for $100 a night. So I had to really hone in on my skills again and figure out what I could do to really rethink my career. And I think a lot of people have done that. But there's unfortunately so many incredibly talented people that are out of work right now, so.
You mentioned something about side stream smoke, second and third stream smoke, and all that kind of stuff. Because there was a time, there were dinner theaters here. There were people you were allowed to smoke and drink during shows.
Lounges,
I remember seeing the clouds in those rooms.
Yeah.
And now there's no smoking in there. So that's a little bit different.
I think Vegas is smart. I remember one time they were getting rid of this, that, and the other. And I thought, well, how are you going to get rid of smoking and drinking? And I mean, they've done it to an extent, but they say the third-hand smoke that lingers on your clothes is actually worse because you take it home with you and you're breathing it in constantly. So, I mean, again, I'm not condemning people that that smoke or do whatever, their vices. But for me, I live a pretty clean life, unfortunately. I'm pretty boring. So,
well, boring probably is what kept you here, and you weren't having to correct a lot of other problems that you may have had you been not so boring. Let's look at it that way.
Yeah. I sang right through my chemotherapy. I was singing. They spaced my agent and my manager would book me to perform in between my cycles.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I really looked forward to that because I knew that was the one thing in my life that I loved. And I knew that by performing and singing, it would keep me alive. And I really believe in that sense that it did, so.
Well, the wonderful thing today is, Vegas has always had kind of an aura about it. And although we've transitioned and we've morphed into all these different things where now we've got great restaurants and all these kind of things, there's a lot of tradition here. And you are definitely part of the tradition that makes up Las Vegas that people still crave.
I don't want to blow my own horn.
Go ahead.
But I feel that after decades of being here and persevering in my attitude and helping other people, that the karma came back. And I was one of the, they say the good guys come in last, but I have in turn helped all of the performers in town by giving them a platform to come on my show now and perform. And I pay them. We have a live band. We've had this is our 65th sold out show in a row coming up next Wednesday. And so I'm so blessed. Like, I've worked hard at it, though. You know what I mean? I never phoned it in. And I think you know that. I've always cared almost to a fault for other people, but the response has been overwhelming. And to receive the recognition is heartfelt. And I don't let it get to my head, but I'm proud of it because I was raised right. I was raised by a bunch of police guys, policemen, in Boston. And, I came up from a very strict family, and I really believe that had something to do with it as well. So I'm proud of where I am, and I'm proud of my accomplishments, and I'm happy that I can help out my fellow performers. I mean, it just tickles me to no end to see that I can help these people, you know? So
Let me ask you a question. What would you say to somebody that's younger now and they have this Mark O'Toole drive? They know what they want. They want this more than anything. What pieces of advice would you give them?
I would give them very solid advice, and the advice that I've learned, which you could take it or leave it, but because I've done it a long time, I don't think anybody has an answer to make it. Success in so many comes in different variations to many different people. The house you live in, or the car that you drive, or how much money you have in the bank, just depends on what you look at success,
Mm-hmm.
what the definition is to you. For me, it's doing something that you love to do. But for those people who are, because I work with the people from The Voice and America's Got Talent, and I know all those people are on my show. I see what it does to them. And I think those shows, unfortunately, give out false pretense to people to think that you can become an overnight success. And I think that couldn't be further from the truth. I think hard work and diligence and, a number of things make you who you are, not as an individual, as an actor, a singer, performer, of anybody in the theater or the arts. But I think what you need to do for young people is never give up, follow your dreams. And anybody that tells you no, tell them yes, tell them I can when they tell you they can't. When you get a door slammed shut, then consider that God saying to you, well, that wasn't the right, avenue I should have taken. So for me, I tell people not to give up your dream, but don't stop working. Don't stop going to school. You need an education. You need to be able to make money to follow your dreams. You just can't live in a cardboard box. You have to hold on to what you have and then work on that. And then as you get work, then you can build on that rather than just, there's so many people that go, oh, I'm going to become a singer, I'm going to become a star. Well, good for you. That's a wonderful, positive thing. But the reality is 1 out of a billion people make it. And I've worked with the biggest stars in the world. And they all say the same thing, they're humble. They realize that they're 1 in a billion, but you cannot forget that there's a billion other people who are probably better than you are at what you do. And you have to have that gimmick. And that's the other thing. You got to find a gimmick. If you're trying to be a look-alike or a sound-alike, there's a million Michael Bublé performers out there. You got to be original. And you got to look within yourself to find out what you can offer differently than what other people are trying to do in entertainment business. That's what I see.
It's funny because when I did my first radio show, it was, oh God, 40 some odd years ago, and the microphone was put in front of me by mistake. The people I was with, they had to take a break during the show, and all of a sudden the microphone was in front of me, and they came back on the air, and I just started talking. And when they came back, I was like, I got this. And it was like instantly I knew what I wanted to do. And now I did tens of thousands of radio shows, and, and I love what I do. And all my friends are retiring, and I can't even imagine retiring right now. That's why I started another platform. I mean, I have too much to say, too much to learn. I don't want to be sitting back. I don't want to miss anything.
I think
So
your mind kind of melts if you're not working.
I agree.
If you're not keeping busy, mind is idle. It's the devil's playground, as they say. But you have to continually, there's nothing wrong with doing what you love to do. And especially when you have a platform like yourself and you've done so well. But that comes with a lot of hard work. You just, people come to my show and it runs like a well-oiled machine because we've done so many shows now and I've been doing this a long time. And, it's all off the cuff. There's no script and it's a 90-minute show. And the reason why it works is because I've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm doing, but I'm no better than anybody else. We're just all different. And I think that's where a lot of people, they get stuck on that too. They always try to compete and or they try to compare themselves to other people. And the one thing you have to realize is that you are an original and that you have so much to give, and stop paying attention to what other people give or what other people sound like or what they do. you can succeed in anything you do. You just have to persevere, keep your mind, keep your nose to the grindstone, and do the best you can. I mean, it sounds simple. It is simple, but it's a lot of hard work.
Do you see Las Vegas continuing to transpose or morph into something different and change? Because it's completely different than it was when I got here 40 some odd years ago. And, it's a different world here now. And I mean, I like a lot of it. I mean, I do. I like the availability where there's just anything you want is here, which is great. Do you see it continuing to change?
I do. I don't like the direction where we're going. It was a lot better when the mob ran Vegas. Everybody was treated with more respect. The performers were on top of the platform. Now we're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Too bad.
What happened is a big corp came in. A lot of young people from LA came in. A lot of people from all over, and they call them bean counters. And what used to be given so freely, like comps or, Vegas was built on entertainment and the buffet and gambling. That's what really made Vegas. And now 3/4 of the buffets are gone because of COVID. And they just realized basically that the buffets we never needed them. They don't need the buffets. People, they want to come here, possibly see a good show and catch, a good meal and gamble. There are the guys who come in with a woman who have their parties and they, want to get laid and they want to drink and they want to have fun. There's that side of Vegas too. But the sad part about Vegas right now is, it's just not the same. Everything costs $1 million. Like my friend just went and saw the Eagles at the Sphere it was like $600-700 a ticket, and that's decent. I mean, Adele, like you can pay up to $5,000. Nobody can afford this unless they come in and they save, or they're trying to be a big shot from another part of the country. But bottom line is, all these big performers that come in, and God love them if they can make the money. But I blame the management team and the big stars who come in here and they forget that people like ourselves and people of the norm that are middle class people or even lower class don't have that kind of money. And we're the people that made who they are today. And who the hell can afford to go see somebody anymore? And it's just completely, it's not like it used to be. That's all. And I sound kind of jaded because I see a lot going down and I get mad inside, and it just makes me feel like we're better than this,
Well, there was a time when anybody could come to Las Vegas and there was something affordable for everybody. If you didn't want to play the dollar slots, you could play nickels and you could go to a $5 buffet and have a great meal. And, you were able to do it. Hotels were inexpensive. I remember those days. I used to come back then.
Yeah,
it
was so enticing. Mm-hmm. And, people come here. People always say to me, how long should I go to Vegas for vacation? I say, don't come here for more than 3 or 4 days because you just stay up. People stay up because they think they're going to miss out. And by the time they get home, they need a vacation because they're exhausted because they stayed up every night. So yeah. I see it all. But also, like everywhere else, Vegas is not the safest place. There's a lot that the news organizations, Jeffrey, or the people, they don't want you to know what's going on. Like I tell my friends, if you go to the Strip, stay on the Strip. Don't wander off the Strip. It's a city. There's a lot of crime here. So, I mean, it's changed a lot. There's crime in every city. I mean, I shouldn't really say that, but with Vegas churning the way it is, I see a lot of people that are homeless here. And unfortunately, it's just, we're not where we should be. I think we need to go back a little bit and figure out why the town is turning the way it is, So.
Well, somebody asked me, I told them I was going to have you on, and they said, ask him if he thinks dinner theater will ever come back.
Yes. There are, in my show, not so much dinner theaters, but there are shows you can go to. I'll tell you my favorite show in town, and I know Carrot Top, Scott, is a friend of mine, and honestly, if you want to see one of the best shows you've ever seen, he's one of the best comedians, and there's Brad Garrett. I have my favorites that I go to in town. They're not dinner theaters. Again, the smaller venues with the price of tickets that aren't exuberant, that not going to kill you. I can't even imagine a family coming here of 3 or 4 people to go one night out is $2,000. By the time you eat, by the time you get tickets to a show. I mean, so for me personally, if you just look, go on Yelp, read the reviews of people, there is a lot of bad acts that are here. There are people that should not be performing here. And then there are so many people that are performing here that don't catch the break that they should. And so, it's just the way that it's always been. But yeah, Vegas is not what it used to be, unfortunately.
I do love a smaller venue. I mean, to me, it's the intimacy of the smaller
Yeah,
venue. And I like
yeah.
that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll go to a gigantic show and be a number in an audience, and it's so far away I can't even see it, but I like the music.
Right.
But I'd rather be able to see close enough and, be there. I mean, I love the Smith Center here. I mean, we have some really good shows that go
I've
there as
sold
well.
out the Smith Center 4 times. The big hall,
Unbelievable.
Reynolds Hall with Terry Fader. And I did my Barry Manilow show. I've worked with Yamaha down there. I love that. The Cabaret Jazz, all those people that perform, they're all very dear friends. We were talking about smaller venues. And here's a little hint to the people that are listening. If you go to a show, like I went and saw Carrie Underwood, or if you go see Barry Manilow, one of the best shows, the guy's 82 years old, one of the best shows you'll ever see. If you go in and you're sitting in the back, old Vegas, go up, find your usher, drop him a 20 or put $40 in his hand. He'll take you right to the front row because nobody else is doing it, and he'll appreciate it. And it's a little tip. A lot of people tipping, and that's another thing. But if you tip those ushers, you'll get good seats to those shows. I guarantee you.
That's so funny. Yeah, I like that little intimate kind of area, the venue that's at the Smith Center, the smaller little place in the back.
Yeah.
That's
I
really
love it.
Yeah, we have a friend that performs there, Michelle Roll. She performs there a lot.
I know
and,
Michelle, yeah.
Yeah, I've known her forever. But I mean, that's a really intimate, really enjoyable, acoustically, beautifully balanced room. And there's just something to that. And, I think a lot of us that have been around a long time, I think we're still craving that old Vegas.
Well, here's the other drawback that really makes me crazy. I'm a guy who I'm from Boston. I speak my mind, and people can hate me, but they respect me because I tell the truth. I'm not performing at the Smith Center anymore. I'm not performing at these other venues anymore because even though you do well and they have invited guests or whatever, it's pay to play. And it's going back to what Los Angeles did back in the day. They still do it. It's like if you want to put a show on, it costs the entertainer $5,000 to $10,000 to perform now. And the Smith Center was not built for that reason. Steve Wynn's wife built the Smith Center to showcase the talent in this town. If you want to go, and here's another thing I tell people coming in, be prepared to spend thousands of dollars for people to see you. And everything is four-walled. And for the people who don't know what four-walled means, it means when I put on a show or when my friends put on a show, 99.9% of the shows that you see, unless you're Carrie Underwood or a big name like that, they make their money off the tickets that are sold. That's it. They pay the musicians, the lighting, the sound. So it's very difficult now. That's why you're not seeing a lot of people performing here anymore, because all these venues are like, well, if you want to play here, you got to pay us. And I just think that sucks. I really do. It's like, really?
Don't like that. That's
No.
completely different than what it was built on, the foundation of what it
No.
was built on. They used to bring
Absolutely.
people in just to have them on those stages.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And the back in the day in Vegas, you could go into any lounge. We're talking 30. I was playing at the Dunes and the Frontier and the Stardust and Aladdin. I've played at every casino that's been blown up, rebuilt, and blown up again. And that's the truth. But back in the day, they would pay their bands $1,000 a night. MGM Properties, no matter where you played, Luxor, if you went to wherever, it was always $1,000 a night for the band. And there was 1, 2, 3, or 4 bands on it. Would start at 11 o'clock in the morning and go to 4 o'clock in the morning. And they would have a rotation. And the place was packed because you could actually, back in the day, walk in and see Frank Sinatra, or see Sammy Davis, and see these people. There's no more lounges like that anymore. There's the casinos. It's just not the same. somebody needs to rattle the cage here and say, hey, wake up, bring the entertainment back. This town was built on entertainment.
I agree 100%. And, I was here for all those old places, and we're dating ourselves again, but it's all
That's
right.
okay.
I mean, it's a history that I'm proud that I was able to enjoy, and
Me
all
too.
those shows and those going to the Silver Slipper and going to those tiny little rooms, seeing Cookie Jar and all those
I
things
played
there.
opposite of Cookie Jar one night at the Continental, but I think I think I didn't realize how good I was working after Star Search too. I was working 51 weeks a year, double, triple shifts.
Wow.
And if I had only known then what I know now, I would have enjoyed it more. I think that's just with the life in general. You have to enjoy what you have and live every second to the fullest, because it's not going to come back. Even our interview, now that it's halfway over, we're never going to get that time back. So we have to make the most of everything that we do.
I agree. I mean, I really do. I have my grandmother died when she was in her late 90s, and she used to say all the time, she said, I'm going to ride this out. I'm going to slide into my grave. She goes, I am not waltzing into anything. I've got eternity to push up daisies. She goes, I'm going to enjoy every morsel and every second. And she
I
goes,
love
and you
that.
need to do that too. And this was 50 years ago she was telling me this, and and I enjoy everything. I enjoy small things. I enjoy smells and textures and people and animals, and some things that make me smile, other people are like and I'm like, it's okay, you do your thing, I'm doing mine.
My dad's going to be 94, and I lost my mom at 90. And we still talk every day. I think as you get older, you're smarter. I hate to be condescending and say that, but the people who are older, like who are getting up there, understand that, when we were younger, we thought we knew it all. Isn't that funny? And now we kind of getting there. We're kind of learning every day. We really are. So
It's scary because we're getting closer to that point where, as people in front of us are dropping off, and we're getting closer. My mother's 90 now too, so,
God
and I
love her.
adore her. She's amazing. She reads a book a day still. And
Really?
she unbelievable. I've never met anyone like it. When she was in Vegas, she used to read while she was playing bingo. I mean, I don't even have those brain cells to do that. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that's too
just
much work. I just
so.
get the computer. I went to bingo the other day for the first time in a year, and I remember having 35 cards in me with that dauber. Now it's just like, give me the computer. I'm going to sit down and have a drink. If I hear my machine beep, I'm going to get excited.
Let it do it for you. So
Exactly. Um,
I love it. I just want to ask you something real quick.
sure.
This is a question that I think a lot of people wonder. You know, are you one of the few people that because you know a lot of entertainers? Do you know that most people that are still entertaining today, do they still like it as much as they did before? Or does it become monotonous or to become hard and they just don't love it like they used to? Because I know you do.
I think there are people who don't like it anymore because it's not the same.
Hmm.
Some people are driven uh, through their passion because of the money that they were used to make. Some people started off doing it because they love doing it because they love to sing and they love to see people enjoy their music. And I mean, there are different, there's different levels. For me, I love it. I love being on stage. I love making people happy. I absolutely, I am the luckiest guy at my age to have the most successful show right now in Las Vegas. And I don't take that for granted at all. I never phone it in. I give 110%. Every 2 weeks, I have to come up with a new show with a whole new cast. And it works, but it's a lot of work, and I wouldn't change it for a thing. I can't even imagine not doing it. But there are some people who go, Jesus, what a pain in the ass. I got to go sing tonight. You know what I mean? I'm like, I get it, but, you know, pick and choose. And I do believe that, unfortunately, money has something to do with it. I mean, everybody wants to get paid what they're worth, right? Right?
Of course. Of course.
So, so I think that people do get jaded because I think if you go work for a company or a restaurant or wherever, the first question is, which is a big, huge mistake. It's a huge red flag, is how many people can you bring into my establishment? And I'm like, that's your job. My job is to keep them in their seats or sell tickets to your theater. That's my job. My job isn't to, if you're it's a double-edged sword. It's, if you're a good performer and you're well-known in town, I'm very lucky. I do very well. I always sell out. But there are some people who are unbelievable, who are the best performers I've ever seen in my life. And they're just passed over for whatever reason. And they're not given that chance. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I feel for them.
Give me your webpage one more time so people, in case they missed it.
www.markotoolvegas.com. Yeah.
I really love having you here today. Do me a favor, leave everybody with a thought for the day from you. It could be on anything you like, just your thought for the day.
I just put this on my Facebook page actually today, and I love what it says. It's a quote from Audrey Hepburn, and it says, "I love people who make me laugh. I honestly think it's the thing I like most, to laugh. It cures a multitude of ills. It's probably the most important thing in a person." And the other thing that I live by is God is never late. God is never early. God is always on time. And that's what I live by.
I love that. Mark, I want to thank you so much for being here. Will you come back and see me again?
Love you. Yes. And I'm going to come down and ride the horses with you. I promise.
That'll be fine. Of course, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for kind of joining along. I'm taking this podcast in a lot of different ways. You're never going to know what you're going to hear next. So that's what I want. It is the Honest Health Podcast. Remember, go to my webpage, drjeffreyburke.com. Tap on the Honest Health logo. It'll take you to Spotify. You can listen to the audio. Tap on the YouTube, and then you can just watch us, see our gorgeous faces.
I'm on Spotify, iTunes. I have 3 albums on there, so they can check me out too on there, by the way.
Absolutely.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
No. It's all good. Just make sure that reach out. If you have any questions, bring your friends. And because this is a new platform, anything that says like, click, follow, whatever, click them all. And take the time to come back and see us again. Mark, thank you for being here today. It was a pleasure.
I love you. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. God bless.
Stay tuned for more information from the Honest Health Podcast with Jeffrey Burke. And make sure to check back often for interviews and conversations from the guests we all want to hear from. I'm John the Announcer. Thanks for listening.